doing it in the conference championships, in the pressure situation. You got to do it or you don't. As simple as that. If you're great, you do it. Great, you don't. Like I had always been like that, and NC State, I feel the same way about that. And then if you go to last chance, and then what? You make that adjustment. I think last chance is adjustment. And then for me, I feel like Coach Troy, I learned it from Coach Troy. Like when I have Greg Troy, and I used to call him like just to kind of asking for advice and anything. Coach Troy always said, like, hey, you're gonna prepare swimmers to Olympic trials. Don't prepare to Olympic trials. People prepare for them to swim at the Olympic Games. And then just whether they're gonna make it or not, you gotta prepare. You can't just like going over there. So I feel like I always prepare. I have planned for NC2A, whether we have it or not, and I feel like last chance is always like, here we go. One last thing. That's just me. Like, so I like it. I like it that we are in the last week, that we get to see what's everything out there. And obviously things are different now. The way we qualify is different. Right. Exactly. We're not in a situation where, we're not fully shaven tape, or not fully shaven tape to get an NC2A. It's not in that situations. Everybody fully shaven tape for conference, and we're ready to go. And then we'll make adjustment, not adjustment, and we'll continue on the process. What's the next 2 weeks will look like, or 3 weeks for the guys will look like. Kind of go from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like the last chance. And so I had this conversation recently, like, last chance meets, it's just hard because the energy is really hard to it's not the conference meet. So it's like, it's really hard. Like you said, it's like an adjustment. And I understand like the idea of giving another chance to be able to qualify if you're right on the cusp. Like, it's okay, but it's also like, you got to go for it at conferences. I get that.
And on the other side, really imagine if you're in and somebody in the last chance meet got in and it kick you out, right? And you're kind of like, ugh. And almost is like waiting. I don't know. I feel like, hey, you got one shot and one shot only.
That should be the mentality.
It's like in life, sometimes you only got one interview. You really only have one interview, and then you're either going to go to the next round or not, right? So I feel like that the art of execution sometimes get watered down in our sport. We kind of have. I like the execution because I always feel that. All right, what life lessons do we learn? One shot or one opportunity things. I feel like sometimes that's the art that missing a little bit. So we try to focus on that a lot with us, and especially this last chance stuff. Like, I don't know. And now people's 100% will probably going against me 100%, like many people, and I get it. I get it on the other side. So that's kind of like, no right and wrong.
No, it's a good way to segue. We'll get into a little intro, and then I'll keep kind of expanding on that because I'm interested in this point. So welcome to another episode of the Get Out Some podcast. I'm your host, Seamus T. Quinn. This is my co-host, João Mescalote, at Swim Coach João. And today we're joined by the head coach of the UNCW men's and women's swimming programs. Today's guest is Bobby Guntoro. Bobby, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having me, all. Haven't seen you in a while, but some of us
in a while, man.
Yeah. I guess we just talk about I saw you back in 2015. So it's good to see you again.
Yeah, I mentioned to Bobby off air that we met briefly. I was a swimmer, probably my sophomore year of high school. I'd finished at swimming at Futures Championships in Greensboro. Had big dreams of going to NC State. Reached out to Bobby. Bobby was able to give me and my mother a tour for a few hours. It was a great tour. I was like, this is where I want to go. Unfortunately, wasn't going to reach that level, but that's my memory of meeting Bobby in person. And I've followed what you've done since then, and obviously great things at UNCW after being at State for a while. So always appreciate your passion, your energy for the sport, the content you put on your Instagram. It's awesome. So we're happy to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks. Yeah,
for sure. So you made an interesting point before the introduction of like you only get one shot when it comes to conferences, and
Yeah.
trying to kind of hone in that mentality for your team, and not banking on a last chance meet to qualify for something like the NCAA championships. So talk to me about how you communicate that with your team,
Yeah.
and for those that have the opportunity or in your mind to like qualify for NCAA championships, how you have them believe that, you know, they can do it at this conference meet and that's the one shot.
Yeah, I think um, my mentality in coaching always, I think it started with my mother's background. She's a
Mm,
teacher. She's an educator, and I'm from Indonesia, and my mother always said, you know, being a teacher is not necessarily just educating in the subject that they are, um, professional in. My mother's really big about your is teacher is also in the form of educating them for life.
mm,
We can always view from very beginning, from preschool teachers to teaching you, I don't know, maybe something you're really passionate, something you're interested in kindergarten, and go first grade, second grade, high school, and so on and so on. So so I feel that uh, I one thing that I love about collegiate coaching for me, I'm passionate about this position is because this is kind of like the last stop for our young men and women
mm,
before they go into real world, right? And I think a lot of real life situation, we a lot of time we only provided that one opportunity, and you really kind of have to. And for example, right? And it's a simple things, right? I'm a dad, and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have one opportunity to get to my kids' school on time to attend their morning meetings.
mm.
I would go home. I would go either straight to their school, or, and to me, that is an important thing. And I take that to the heart. But I have to make sure that my assistant coaches and my swimmers and divers, and they understand exactly what Wednesday morning look like. But when Bobby stepped out of the pool deck at 7:45, everything runs exactly the way we plan it, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I have one opportunity, make sure that one shot, and I gotta execute it the right way, because I only have one opportunity for Wednesdays in
Mm.
February, and it's moving on after that, right? So that's a simple things. However, sometimes when I'm not prepared, or sometimes things go, like throw on our desk, like in the last minute, things change, and I don't get to see them. And when I pick up my son, like, hey, sorry, I missed your morning meeting this morning, dude. Like I have some stuff, but I'm gonna try to do it tomorrow, right? But I missed that opportunity. I missed that one chance opportunity, right?
Mm.
So I think my philosophy in teaching, and I like to sort of teaching is not coaching.
Yeah.
In teaching our student athletes, that's really, hey, our sports, whether in the swimming side or the diving side, we do rely on a lot of repetitions. But let's not focus on repetition, but let's focus on execution within the repetition. What are we trying to do and execute things, and to execute that, and execution is a byproduct of the preparation. So make sure we prepare mentally, physically, and when we do this, and obviously, and we know sometimes human is about, we're not a machine. We're we're a creature of habit, right? And we kind of learn about each individual, what helped them to help them execute the right thing. Like, what's the system, what's the process look like here before certain time, and all that. Like this afternoon, we're doing some fast stuff. We kind of know, hey, let's bring in this group individuals 15 minutes earlier because they need to do this, and that. Or let's bring in this group a little bit later because they need 200 and they'll be ready to go. So I think I all that long answer, I guess it starts a lot of in preparation and what we try to execute. So I do a lot of that. I prepare a lot of things, and that's my job in this position. And I learned that a lot from, from the Braden Holloway, from the Todd DeSorbo, right? And I learned those two guys are, right now some of the best coaches in our sport, and I think they, at some point they were sharing offices, right? So, and me, here I am, talk about NC State 2015. I just kind of been taking notes and just kind of how did they become successful, and not enough to say like I'm not really zoning into sets and all that. It's just more kind of the philosophical standpoint, and I take that to the heart, and I think that's how I operate. And to be a better father, to be a better husband for my wife, and obviously to be a better leader for our program.
Yeah, I like that. It sounds like to me that this philosophy of like making the most out of these opportunities comes from like recognizing that you only have one day a week to go visit your son, or two times a week, and then sort of in the same way with swimming, you only have one opportunity to execute it. This dual meet against this team or this conference championship to qualify for the NCAA. So it's like you need to put in the repetitions to make the most of that opportunity, and then at the same time be able to pivot too if something comes up, and and kind of shift gears, refocus. But I like that a lot. Like every opportunity in swimming is an opportunity to get better or swim fast, or and the same thing with parenting. I'm sure I don't have kids myself, but I'm sure that's kind of similar in that way. You want to make the most of those moments. So I like that a lot. Talk to us about, obviously, you mentioned being with some great coaches at NC State, like Holloway and DeSorbo, but you've also really like taken I would say a huge leap in your own right over at UNCW and being the head coach there now for years. And you guys have amassed incredible success. So talk to me about like what that's like going into another conference championships, kind of with the target on your back, and just trying to, sustain that culture of excellence, at least from the outside looking in, and what that takes as well.
It's I think there was, when obviously there are different levels of swimming in different countries, right? And from different division and all that. My background, I swam here at UNC Wilmington, and obviously my background is Division I mid-major. But my experience, sometimes people don't realize that, excellence happens in so many different levels, right? And D3, D2, mid-major, D1, high, so I think I feel, number one, I respect our competitors. I respect my colleagues, and we have some of the best coaches. To be honest with you, some of the best coaches out there in mid-major and D2 and D3, because hey, they're not just thinking all swimming. It's we're like our spring meeting is a lot to do with, coach, I have to make money. And how can I balance training and swimming and internship and school, right? And if you take a look at it's challenging in a different way. And I really, really respect our competitors in this league, and all top to bottom, like really. So I think so because of that, once we respect what other people ability and how they run their program, I think that's going to bring to what we need to do for us as a program, so I think number one, when I came in, the one mentality that I bring, like we don't want to be mediocre in anything. We have to commit to certain level, to certain things, and we have to commit that the commitment that I asked from on a day one when I came here, that you got to accept the balance is not 50-50. And you want to be successful in the athletic department, your athletic and your academic, and also at the same time building a portfolio for really beyond collegiate level, and getting the most out of your social life here, that I gotta understand, it's not 50-50 all the time. It's not 25% all the time, right? When we commit to that philosophy, then we kind of put priority the right way, at the right timing. It really, so I think that's been the mantra of UNCW, swimming and diving, since I came here. There are always different challenges. There's always different people with different goals, and that create different challenges or excitement. So I think that, again, another challenge for us is we have to kind of grow with each individuals. How do we do that, right? And do I think shape and taper for summer and all that is really important? I think in my coaching hat, sure, absolutely. But on the other side also, well, is that possible for an individual that, she or he may want to get a job in a medical sales right off the bat, and what is that? What does entail? What does that entail, right? Having an in-depth conversation with them, and also making them to know this, like, hey, you got to respect not necessarily what other people are doing. And when they want to start having that other aspiration, I write back at them, you got to respect the body of work that you put in the last whatever years you put in, right? And you want to continue to move forward, we can, but there are specific level and specific things that we have to do that you got to buy in, because it's not my career, right? It's your career. I think putting that into perspective, then it kind of, and they understand a little bit more, because it's not so much about, hey, your competitor is getting faster. Like, well, it's not about them, it's about me, right? I'm here talking to you. So I try to kind of go into that level where, well, let's take a look. What do you exactly want to do, right? And then let's put respect on. Okay, let's see what your summer's been looking like, and what's your off season's been looking like. What's your season's been looking like, and put respect on that body of work. And then obviously, like I mentioned, and then we put respect on our competitors. And I think that kind of have it put us in reality, and we want to live in reality, right? But in the end of the day, if we do that, then we call it that the law accumulation will take care on its own, where we're gonna build confidence, and we're gonna do. I never knew, like, I don't know if you're gonna win or not. Like, going into conference every year, I just don't know. But what I know is I feel confidence with the body of work that we put in with our program, right? And I always tell the team, like, around this time, like on Saturday, pretty simple. I'm like, we're good, we're really good. Like, we're gonna go in February in about 2 weeks. We're gonna be really good, and the other team, if they want to beat us, they're gonna have to be really, really good, because we're gonna be really good. And I think that was always the message, because I always feel that, yeah, we've done everything we have to do. Some years maybe better than the other, or some years worse than the other, whatever. But for that particular moment, I think I always feel that I feel at peace, always in favor. I'm not stressed or anything. Just like, hey, we'll take care of everything. Let's go for it and just focus on what we know how to do.
Right. Yeah.
Let's take it back a little bit. So you mentioned you went to UNCW, like. For those who don't know, you're from Indonesia.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, congratulations. Just got your American citizenship.
Thank you.
How did you end up in the US? How was it growing up swimming in Indonesia, and then starting to look into colleges in the US, and then all of a sudden landing in North Carolina?
Yeah. So I swam. So I was in the national team for the Indonesian national team, and in 2004, Indonesia is, like many countries, they respect their Olympic sport athletes. For our government and Indonesian government, the Olympic athletes or Olympic sport athletes are ambassador for the country when we compete in a multi-nation competition. I represent Indonesian and Southeast Asian games. Is all those multi-nation games that growing up. in 2004 they come up with a long, like really, they call it the future scholarships. So they pick certain individuals who are 18 years old and under and younger. They will send us to the country. It's not just swimming; it's also other sports. They send us to the country that excel in that sport, but they want to send us to also respect the education. So they send me to bowl school. So I went to bowl schools for 2.5 years. The idea was the Indonesian government would fund my education at bowl schools, and in return, I have to learn about the education and the American system. If I wanted to stay after high school, I would have to come up with my own fund. And so the Indonesian government like we're going to invest in you in 2 years, and then you do your own thing after that. I thought that was the best investment for me, for anybody that ever done to me, right? And at Bowls, obviously, is just the names carries its own, right? The traditions and all that. So I always tell people like, yeah, I'm kind of like the reject of Bulls alum because everybody's so good. I wasn't good. They're all Olympian, and I'm like, Bobby, who's that? Like, I feel like water bottle. But anyway, so funny enough, UNC Wilmington used to take their Christmas training at Bulls. Yeah, so they used to go down there to Jacksonville, Florida, doing Christmas training at Bulls, and that's where I met Dave Allen and Todd DeSorbo. Todd. That was Todd's first year here, my senior year of high school. That was Todd first year coaching. And I was being, after that, when I just watched their practice. I never seen the collegiate, practice before. One afternoon, one evening, I just come in and watch. I've done all my homework and everything. I just sit down and watch. And Dave just struck conversation with me like, hey, what are you doing there? And he's like, oh, I live here at the dorm from Indonesia. I'm just swimming. I never watched a collegiate practice before. I just want to watch. And Dave asked me what's going on? And I told him about who I am and all that. Well, let's get on the phone after this. Okay, sounds good. I get on the phone. That was it. I totally committed to come school here before I visited, and I didn't know what Wilmington looked like, to be honest with you. And then I went to recurring visit here after I signed and everything. I was like, oh, thank God, the place is good. I didn't know what it was. It was just a gut feeling. We're talking to, both gentlemen. They were really good. They would feel like I think these are the people that'll take care of me. I talked to only 3 schools. But I ended up in Wilmington, and then I was a student athlete here for 4 years. My 5th year here, I was done with swimming, but I was working in internal audit. And Coach Dave asked me if I wanted to volunteer coaching. So I did that, and then after graduated, did a little bit of accounting work. And Todd called me like, hey, Todd took the job. After I finished my senior year, he took the job at NC State. He kind of called me and like, hey, I think we're looking for this position to be graduate assistant. If you'd be interested, you understand my system and all that. Well, kind of taking a step back to before I came to United States, I lived in Australia for a year and a half. I trained with Eamon Sullivan. I don't know. So Eamon Sullivan was a former world record holder. So I know Eamon before Eamon was before the Eamon Sullivan. So Eamon was kind of like just on the way, and another gentleman was Adam Lucas. My coach was Grant Stoll-Winder. Grant, unfortunately passed 5 years ago, maybe. But that was my first introduction into really sprinting, like a world class athletes and world class training. And so when I came to UNC Wilmington, Todd was very open minded. So he actually asked a lot of what we do in Australia, and very different way of sprinting. When with Grant Stoll-Winder and Eamon was very over speed, never resistance, very high end over speed and backhand training. Where here in America was very resistance, very heavy power, top power rack. So it was really interesting, and the heart rate and all that. So when throughout 4 years of my career here, we talk a lot about things. And Todd, I remember my freshman year, so hey, write down what you'll do on your meet warm up. So I read the style, and then suddenly the whole team's doing my meet warm up. So it was like one of those things where like, it was such a cool experience, the bouncing. And I think when he went over to NC State, he saw that he believed in that they can build something great over there together. And obviously Braden also is like a big part of it. And it was like, hey, we have this position. But I didn't know my role would be, with NC State. But my philosophy was the same back then as it is now, where I'm gonna put my head down and I'm just gonna go. This is an opportunity for me. I'm just gonna focus on the now rather than what I'm trying to do, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had my accounting major, and I probably, financially, I would prefer to go to the financial route, but it wasn't as much fun. It wasn't like, it's just not, it's not an education.
Boring.
Like working with people, it's boring. I know, exactly. So yeah, like it was going to be 2 years of graduate assistant, and then Braden switched that graduate assistant, becoming a full-time, from 2 years to 4 years, 4 years to 6 years, 6 years to 8 years. And then UNCW called me when they're looking for a head coach job. And yeah, that was something that this is a place where I feel that I'll be passionate about with what I do, and able to grow my family. And at the time I feel that, as being associate head coach was great. I don't have anything bad to say. Obviously, I really respect those guys at NC State and Braden, what Braden built, and I am definitely a product of that coaching tree. But I think it was at the point where, I think gone for, I don't know, like 6-8 weeks in the off season. How can I be a father like that? So I think that was kind of like in the back of my mind a little bit. My wife came from a big family, so that was a time for me to make a decision that this is something that I want. There was a little not scared. It was like, one of the last questions that one of my mentors asked me, Coach Mark Bernardino asked me, like, Coach Bobby, you may not, or may never, or may, if you do, you're going to take a long time for you coach NCAA champion ever again, at UNC Wilmington, or maybe if you do, there may be years down the road. Valid questions, right? And and Coach Mark asked me, I don't want you to answer now, but I want you to think about that. And then the next time we grab coffee, I want you to talk to me about that. I said, no, I thought a lot about that. And, but that's kind of like how we started this podcast, right? And I said, I think just the educating, the helping this individual to be ready for real work. It truly is my passion. Like, I love fast swimming. I really do. I wouldn't be here. I love competing, right? I continue to do that. But I think it's like, like every graduation I cry for all those guys, because like I see the, 6 a.m., the hard part and everything, but I know like they never, they never give up their dream. And I think that's a really cool thing. Like, and I feel that the student athletes that compete outside the Power Four is also very committed, and I think that's to me, that's close to my heart, because I don't compete. I wasn't good enough to compete at Power Four. I wasn't good enough. So, but I think that's the reason why I chose this. I'm at peace, but I'm certainly not satisfied. Obviously, we're always like, but it's not in a way where like, I won that, but it's just more that, it's just working with the people in front of us and just like, okay, what do you want? What's your, let's go together. Let's grow together. That's the cool thing to me, because it's not me. It's not about the coaches. It's not us, right? I think that's the big thing. Sometimes we lost track, right? Like, I want to coach at the Olympic Games. Great. Awesome, but it's not us, right? It's like the athlete. We're just here to help them, So I think to me that kind of give me, I don't know, man. That's like what I look forward to every day.
Love that. Wow. I was gonna ask you like why did you go into coaching, but I think that answers pretty well as well. Just your mom's background you mentioned on educating, because I see that theme a lot, and like I think just this week we had two people like that, and like I know I'm like that, where I went into the business world and then slowly got dragged back into. I never wanted to be a coach, but then it slowly got dragged back into it, fell in love with it, and then we find success. But it's and then people are like, "Oh, you probably always wanted to be a coach. You probably was like always studying about it." And I'm like, "No, I never wanted to do it." And since I'm doing it, I am, like you said, putting my head down and doing the best job I can. But at the end of the day, it wasn't like my dream growing up. Like, oh, I really want to be a coach.
Yeah.
Who you mentioned also the legend Mark. Who are some of your mentors? Some people that you think along the way, besides those guys, like obviously Braden, Todd, and Mark. But who are some other names that you can always either pick up the phone and call, or someone that you still
Man, there's a lot. Like, I've been so fortunate to be around great coaches. Like my high school coaches was Jeff Papel. Was my high school coach. Right? He's at South Carolina. He's done a fantastic job. Like, I learned how to train more than 3,000 yards with him. Like, I mean, I can't lie. I came into bowls, do my first practice. After 3,000, I take my cap off, and they were like, "That was a warm up." I'm like, "Excuse me." It was a warm up. So, but Jeff makes me understand, put respect on the preparation and really like all things consider everything about like just like that. Okay, I understand that. I understand the reason why, and I still take it to the heart when I coach the middle distance and all that. Rick Bishop was my coach too, and when I was in high school, and Rick really kind of like understanding to take that aerobic background into a little bit more speed background. Like he's thinking about speed. He's always like, even when I was in high school, like, Bobby, we got to bring you into collegiate speed. What does that mean, coach? Like, but he does so much different things that I was nowhere close to be the best swimmer at bowls my senior year. But Rick took so much time, and with me, and John Sakovic, who's at LSU. John, he was a really, it was legit swimmer in a mile, but he kind of talked to me a lot about just the mental, like, and how to be on that level and what it mean, like what it took to be in that level. And I learned a lot. And I still remember one of the meet, I was sitting in front of the van with John. It's my favorite thing. Just listen to him talking, just talk, ask questions, and still friends to now. And because Martin Zubero, who's a gold medalist in the Olympics, right? And he was in bowls too. So I talked to Coach Zubero a lot, and then just kind of like what it feels like to be like, and just having inspiration, Those are my high school days, which is I'm very fortunate, obviously. Obviously, the Coach Dave Allen, who passed away like 6 years ago, but Dave was the head coach over here, and I learned from him how to build a family. And I never understood. I didn't understand why Dave stay here in Wilmington until I'm back here. Like, I get it. I get it. So, but he has 3 kids. All the 3 kids compete for him at UNC Wilmington. So you go to anywhere in Wilmington, everybody know who Dave was, and everybody know who Allen family was. Right. So, so I think to me that was like, obviously, and then some friends in coaching world, and I would consider them as also my mentor, Mike Joyce, now in Georgia. He and we started our coaching career at the same time. He was the head of age group coach at RSA, Raleigh Swimming Association, in Raleigh, when I started in the at NC State. So we were together for many nights. It was a single dude. I'm a single dude. We just like go somewhere, just talk swimming. I literally just talk swimming with them for my first 3 years in Raleigh. Brent Nigro in Army is definitely a good sounding board. Just watching his he just came in. We worked together with the sprint group at NC State my last 3 years there, 3-4 years there. And Brent always brought in that just a different mindset and just is bringing in things like, oh man, I didn't think about that one. So he's masterful. Is in terms of managing athletes, probably Brent Iger, probably one of the best, if not the best coach I've ever been around, and how manage different individuals, different personalities. So I learned a lot from Brent. So I think those are the those are the people that well, the last but not least, that we started our career coaching together was Westfold at Texas A&M. Coach Westfold, I actually just talked to him on the phone not too long ago. All this from the young ones, I do like, I learned from so much from them, and we kind of share, where we started, how we started, and watching all of them so successful. And we are successful in a different way, right? I think it's really cool to see that. But it's all started back from 2012, 13. I swam against Westfold here. He was at Towson University, and we're at UNC Wilmington. We swam against each other in college, and I found out that he was going to be the other graduate assistant coach. And I'm going, wow, gee, this is awesome. But we started together, man. It's like I was, we share a lot of moments. That it was a hard moment where, ACC used to be separate, men and women, right? And it was to be the weekend of women's ACC when I was at NC State, my first few years. I didn't get a hotel room, and my job was to run the guys' practices like throughout the women's ACC. So we would drive back and forth about an hour, 15 minutes one way every single session. My back is like so sore, like on the mess. I'm like, oh God, like I'm just glad I'm not sitting on that van right now. I'm just like sleeping,
Yeah.
But it was really, so many different coaching friends. But those are the people that kind of, really like super close to me.
Wow, that's awesome, man. There's a lot of powerful names there, and it's something that we often talked about at the NC State camps, which you probably started yourself, right? Like with Braden and Mary. But I remember actually telling our group of guys like Brandon, who's there with you now, like Caleb, like just sitting with the guys and just being like, wow, like we're kind of like the younger guys now, like in a couple of years, like I want to see where we're all going to be and how we're still going to be, either racing each other, calling each other and figuring things out. But it's fun to see that, like we can grow together. And like, that's one of the things that I love the most about like the swimming system here in the US, especially like the college system, is how, there's space for everyone to shine and, like you said, succeed in their own different ways. So it's very, very interesting to see that, you still stay in touch with those guys as well, and all of that.
What, Bobby, a question for you is like, what were some things that were exciting you at NC State? Like just being there, and I'm sure, it was a grind for years, and that's what the lifestyle of coaching is. But what were those like moments, those like breakthroughs and practices, things that just like that were exciting you and that still excite you to this day, of just like being in the actual practices and the weeds of it?
The hands down, it's not necessarily just one particular thing, but the exposure to what the best of the best do, right? And I remember in 2017, 2018, 2019, that spread. Andreas Fazayas trained on like pretty much in my group for all of his career, and he's majority practice. Like he would train 7 practices with me and then 2 practices with other coaches. I think, and that particular year, I remember you still have the Ryan Held, you have the Jacob Molachek, you got the Justin Ress, you got the Cameron, not Cameron, sorry, you got the golly, my head, like my brain, You have the Anton Ibsen. You hold these studs. I think in 2018, I believe, like NC State won a 5 national title, right? So and you have the but one of those things I remember that with Andreas Vasallo specifically, the level of attention to detail of everything he does, right? And I don't tell this story very often, where he won national title his junior year in the 200 fly. I think he's always a back half guy. His great underwater kick was not really like snappy, but he can maintain that speed really well on lap 5, 6, 7, 8. If you tie with him for the first 100, you're done. He's gonna eat your life. He's done. He's gone, right? So, but you've seen that in practice, and actually his senior year, he was nursing injury all year round. We have to cut about 50% of his kicking load, and he went faster in senior year. So, but it was one of those things where it wasn't necessarily what we do. It was more that was truly that. If I have to look back at my coaching career, my coaching experience with Andreas Vasallos was like, it's the next level of understanding of really just like two human get together, and there's a powerful connection between coaches and athlete where I kind of feel that in the beginning wasn't necessarily the injury. It was, just kind of feel that he has that, I got to defend my title. And I have to kind of talk to him like, you really don't, like is that to that particular time, no one was defending 200 fly. It was just like different champion come and go. So I kind of talked to him about that and more about, like being in the moment and just like, whatever happened already happened, whatever future is for us. So that, and then we kind of, okay, we passed through that, and then the injury come back. The injury come like, Dan would really, and he likes to push things. He likes to push things, and I'm more like, dude, if you push one day hit too hard, the next day we'll take 2 days off. We can't do that. And how do I? And it has a lot of, how do I provide the plan for him so that he still believes that he can be the best. He can be the best. So that was really just the overall that 2-3 years with Andreas. And I said this a lot to them because like it's saying a lot of that magnitude. There's a difference between that and the great people too, right? Because there are so many as other people that, hey, they were top 3, top 4 NC2A. Like at that year, people talk about going 243 in 400 freestyle relay. It was really, really good this year. But the NC State year 2018 went 244 prelims and finals.
And, we had. I was gonna say we had to do it twice back then.
You had to do it twice, and you have to do and also like the way sprinter train changed, because like the Ryan Hell and those speed freestylers, they'll swim their 11th event on Saturday night. You know what I'm saying? And those guys went 244. In the morning. They broke NCAA record in the morning at Minnesota, right? And I remember the distance swimmers was like, hey, so we leave, so we watch for really like it literally matter like, we're just gonna try to get the lane. We're gonna keep it safe. We're gonna put another swimmers in there. Okay, sounds good. We'll leave. And then we're watching. I'm just like, I think they're about to break this record. And then it went like, it's just like it broke it. And then on my phone, they all pissed off at me like, dude, you told us to leave. Like, I do not know. I was like, but that says a lot because the talented, the quality of that group, and then just like having that in it, but and just being exposed of the professional of the professional. It was, it was like, it was hard to explain. It's really hard to explain for me. But I'm definitely, I see that in some people that I came across here at UNCW, may not necessarily on the swimming side, just taking care of that. It's like, I have a young women that for her to go to school, she has to work 10 hours a week. She's taking loans. She has to work 10 hours a week. And for me, I'm just like, she's taking care of her body and this one. And she's so good in practice, you know? And I'm just like, I put so much respect on that, you know? So I think that's something that's like, you know, I when I knew they're going to be really great and you feel good with your, as a coach to see that, you're like, the best times, you're going to get best time, no problem. Right. You know, like the conference champion, I don't know if she's going to win or not. Right. Because there's other people, I don't know. But in the end of the day, we're like, you know what? She's doing it to the best. She's managing herself better than I could have done when I was that age, right? You know, and in comparison to like, yeah, I mean, I've seen that happen in swimming because swimming, you got kind of have to be more talented to do that level, right? Talent has a lot to do with that too, right? So that to me, man, it's just like, yeah, and the things that Andres Fazayas would do in practice, it was just insane. It was just insane because it was just like, and it's not so much like the time. It was predictable. We're like, okay, we talk about, for example, his favorite set is 10-200 suited, 10-200s on 240 or so, right? On 240 short course yard, you go 100 freestyle and 100 fly. The 100 freestyle, it doesn't matter where you go, and the 100 fly on the back end, the goal is to be as fast as you can, but even split with the kick count and the stroke count that he has to do in the back 100, right? He was going under 51 in the back 100, all 10 of them, right? All 10 of them, right? Now, we had to do it, but he was so consistent. And that's like, he was going 50 point, 50 point, 50 point, 50 point, 50 point. It just like, but it was just, but I would, it was a joke, was like, you know, we would just watch his, look, I don't have to put my watch on, but I can tell you he's about to take 7 kicks and 5 strokes over here. Yeah. Right. And just exactly. So he's that was the master of execution. He was the master of execution. And we kind of knew, like, and when watching in race, I remember it was at Texas 2019. We were like, you flip on the the 100, he was in the 7. We were kind of like, this is gonna be too far here. And then on the 7th, on the third 50, he just turned it on. It's not over swimming turning on. It's a turning on that I've been watching this 10-200, and like Braden and I just looking at it like, oh, this is happening. He's about to win this thing. Touched the wall. Sure enough, he just took off because we knew he wasn't over swimming this thing. You know what I'm saying? It was just that consistency. Right. And it was I think that was probably, I probably will never have somebody like that ever again, that coaching in my life. I mean, I don't know. You know? But I remember watching that race, and I look back, I'm like, well, he's doing this in practice. You know, it wasn't a secret, you know, pill or whatever. Yeah. So he was doing that, you know.
Execution. So yeah. Wow. So interesting. Yeah.
You guys obviously had like a gradual upward trajectory at NC State from when you took over, but how did that feel like? I mean, even from the get-go, because when did Braden take over? When did you move there? Like years?
I think he took over in 2011. Okay,
2011. Yeah. 2011. And you went in 2012?
Yeah, I went in 2012. Yeah.
Even then, like, you know, that, 2 years later, that was Ryan Held, because Ryan was my class about 2013, 2014. Yeah. And those guys, what you said earlier, like, I value that a lot, because in my experience, like, coaching at a mid-major is exactly like you said. It's like, that was real coaching. Like, that was real, like, okay, I need to learn how to manage this. And, you know, there's way more than just, you know, knowing what 825s on 4 minutes do to you. Like, I know the science, but like, there's way more to it. And so how did you manage that? Like, being a young coach, like, and all of a sudden, you know, within 2-3 years, having to do with this like high caliber athletes. Did you ever see it like that? Or did you kind of like,
that's a good questions. I feel that my strength was and is embracing my role. I came in with an open-minded that I mean, I didn't write practice for the first 2 years. Like I didn't write a single practice the first 2 years. I was, and Braden came in like, look, I don't know what it's going to be. Like, obviously, Todd needs you a lot with the spring group. Just do whatever he needs to do. But at some point, I'm going to need you a lot on certain things. Like, let me know. But he's like, but I know for sure you're going to have to open this pool every morning. Like, oh, it sounds good. So that was my rule. So I have to embrace that. Like 5 o'clock in the morning, Monday to Saturday, I have to open the pool. My first 2 years. So that was my start in NC State. But I think embracing the role, and if I feel like if we embrace the role and just focus on, hey, you have this A job, and it's given to you by the head coach or by any coach, that's embrace it and do that job the best you can. Not just, I think I didn't have mentality or like, okay, I want to do this job so that I can do this job. Does that make sense? So it's more like, I feel that sometimes exactly right. Sometimes it's like, no, I want to do this job and this is my job and I'm just going to do that. And then that's the only way I know how to do it. Right. So it was a little bit easier for me, I guess, because it was more, then because of that, I knew the role that I was doing for them at that particular part of their development. I knew I'm giving 100%. I'm so confident in that particular time, and the way we open the pool, the way when we show up, the way I'm giving it all. Like I knew that is my role. Like, hey, if there's somebody not happy, let me know why is that, and how do we do this better, right? In the dry land, and I knew that I give it all. And also make me realize that, oh man, like from the top, the head coach doing it all. Gary Taylor was there; he was doing it all, right? Todd Silver was there, Mallory was there. So all these guys are doing it, are giving it their all. So we kind of create this belief system that we're going to be really good, right? We didn't know how good it was, but it was just one of those things that I think embracing that each individual role, it helps me as a coach, and then as the new, really the new task coming in. I mean, my first full-time group at NC State was 200 breaststrokers and 100 breaststroker. It was one of those things, and really just kind of work on the take. I literally called USA Swimming, like, did I breaststroke? I have no idea about breaststroke. It's like, can you just, so I learn a lot. I watch a lot of videos. And learn a lot about energy system and how to manage a lot of different things. And I got a full summer to learn, and pretty much because they prepare me like, hey, these breaststrokers, I coach a girl over there. She wasn't a star, but she grew from 219 to 211 in a 200 breaststroke, and but it was one of those, like, I know my gears, like, if I can develop these individuals, this is going to help the team so much, and it's just like, you know what, I'm going to give you all, I'm going to give you attention. I know exactly what you need. And if any coach is asking about, like, okay, so and so, oh, typically better for here, this is what her body would react, or his body would react to something. Derek Wren went 51 in the 200 breast, and 100 breaststroke was like maybe 52-1. I can't remember, but he won ACC. I remember after full spin without, it was like, oh man, I can't believe it, but it was one of those things where I feel that truly is being present is as cliche as it sounds, but I was just trying to be being present and just do the best I can in whatever they gave me.
Seems like you were really willing to just learn too, like just have an open mind, do the research, be like, hey, I don't really know much about breaststroke, but let me call some people, let me look into this.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good message for coaches too, to not not be scared of like a new challenge or a new task, and like take the opportunities to learn. Like you said, you didn't write a workout for 2 years. Just learning. I feel like that's something I try to keep in the back of my mind, because I learn really well personally by just doing. Like I don't, it's hard for me sometimes to read textbooks and like look at sets. Like my brain just kind of gets a little scrambled when I'm just looking at like writings on whatever paper or the wall. So a lot of times that's why as a coach I like to practice, actually writing the set, executing the set, and kind of seeing it for myself. But at the same time, there's a learning that needs to occur for young coaches. So I like exposure to different things as well.
How do you teach that as a head coach? How do you teach your staff? How do you like make sure that they're also being mentored that way?
That's a good questions. Everybody's have different strength and weaknesses, right? And I think identifying that first, and then I like to teach them by putting them in the situation that they have to grow, and by giving, but it's at the same time giving them perimeter. Let's see, if it's individual. Let's see a coach really good on a day-to-day operation. Is really good with individuals, really good in running practice, like really good trying to get, but may not necessarily have the strength on building up progression. May not thinking bigger. What's it looks like? What's the 8 weeks progression his look like, right? So me as the head coach, like, hey, I want this specific, giving them some type of like a task first. Okay, now give me a progression for the next 4 weeks, and here's how I want you to progress. And then after this, and then on the third week, let's have a conversation. At that third week, I'm going to ask your professional opinion. Or do we need to continue the progression, or we need to stay in base of where we are, in base of the body reacted on a certain time? What progression do we need to do? What adjustment we need to do for the next 3 weeks? That's when I'm going to ask you for your professional adjustment, and that's going to be more each individual professional. And I think so for that particular thing, instead of me telling them, what to do, in a way, but I want them like, okay, you're really good in managing these individuals. Let's use this strength, but I want you to work on your weakness, almost like a long-term planning, right? But I'm still want to be mentoring you. Or I'm gonna drill you in a way. What's going on with swimmer A, B, C? And typically when I ask questions to my assistant coaches and all that, I don't start with the stars. I start with the bottom. Like I go through literally 1% of the time. I'm like, well, she or he, the 4th, 5th, 5 in the freestylers. I want to know. Tell me about her. Tell me about him. Like what's going on? Like So okay, what do you think I mean? And then it gets them thinking about that. Like and then or sometimes like she or he really good in planning, and then I need them to be more engaging during practice or anything. Then I would challenge them like different questions that. So I'm really trying to put myself into that. Challenge myself to identify what their strength and weakness, right? And then trying to kind of strike it in a different way rather than, hey, I want you to be more engaging. That's kind of hard. Well, how do you do that? Or more that I'm giving a task that is going to get them a little bit of a maybe out of their comfort, right? And they have to kind of they got to think about it a little bit more. Oh, okay, you got to think about that. So I think that's my way to do it. And some. My assistant coaches have been pretty good. Have been really, really good. John Carroll now, he's at Georgetown. He's the head coach of Georgetown. He was fantastic for us. And Connor Connors came by just for 1 year, and then now he's the head coach as Cavaliers Aquatic. He was really good in a different way, right? He's very specific on things, very good managing on that standpoint. Brandon Russ is probably one of the best coach that he can talk to a wall. He just he knows everybody, right? He can read, and Sarah's mind is a lot same like my mind. She's really good in programming, so she gets me and I get her. And Gavrilo, our dive coach, he's so good. He's really number one, he's probably one of the strongest coach, strongest person, like hands down. Like I think he can do pull up like 100 plus pounds, no problem, 3 times. It's just like bang, bang, bang. He's really strong. But I used that strength. So he's built our dryland program. So I work together with Coach Gavrilo to kind of, so I think it's just like the challenging part for me is like, and identifying them, and then also once we are identifying them, identifying their priorities in life is also important. In that way, it's like what give them satisfaction, and I think what make them feel they accomplish things, and so that's kind of the second layer of that, right? That's the second layer of identifying, right? Once you're identifying each individual, then I have to identify the satisfaction and priorities in life.
Yeah.
Wow, awesome.
I like it. All right, so Bobby, we're going to lead to our last couple questions. We thank you for your time. But first question is, what does swimming smart mean to you?
Well, I think we start this with the podcast, right? The execution and understanding how to execute, but understanding to execute in a not perfect situation, because you have no idea when you jump in the pool what you're gonna feel, what's coming up, and all that. So I think swimming smart is truly understanding. You take control of what you're really good and what you take control of what you're really good at in any situation.
Yeah, I like that. And then last and final question, are you a fan of the Get Out Swim? And if so, do you have a memorable Get Out Swim story?
Yes, I am a fan of Get Out Swim. Last year, William Carico, he told me he can go under 350 in front of IM after 2 hours workout. And he asked me if he can do that. And then if he go under 350, he get the rest of the team off the next morning and during Christmas training. He told me that during the team dinner. I was like, yeah, sounds good. Can you do it now? Like, okay, give me 30 minutes. All right. He went 348.
Wow.
So yeah, he last year and then he dropped to 344. But yeah, the people don't know. But I didn't tell. But he was out for 10 days after the first 2 weeks of January. So like actually the mid-January. So he came in with we were really back off because like he was sick, and we're kind of like, he was out of the water for 10 days, and then he came to conference, still went 344. So we're excited for him, just kind of like, and he knows that too. He's like, okay, we're on the roll. And he's just, but last year I thought, I was like, we just eating dinner, and he's just like, hey, if I go under 350, can we get off tomorrow morning? I'm like, you go up 350 tonight, I'll get you off tomorrow morning. And I get your group. Like he asked the group, were like, sounds good. And like, and everybody were like, wait a minute, we're getting off tomorrow morning. You're like, well, he goes under 350. Well, and everybody come back. The whole pool deck was full, and he lit it up, and he went out hard, and he was hurting the last 100, but he went 348. So yeah, that was like, you know what? That's pretty cool.
I think I remember getting that video. Brendan, we have a group chat. It's like me, Brendan, Scott. I have a couple of coaches, and Brendan sent that on the group chat. I remember that, and he's like, "Dude, this guy's gonna go. Yeah, he's gonna go fast. We're done. Crazy. Our job is done."
I know. I mean, I think it was a bad luck. I think it was like he got sick literally like 5 days after that, and we're just like, oh shoot, like come on, dude. He was sick, and I was just like, he texted me like, I don't feel good. Like, don't show up. If you don't feel good, don't show up, dude, because I don't want to get sick. I was telling him like, when somebody come into my office like, I don't feel good. I'm like, well, get out of here, dude. Don't. Just text me, brother. Text me. Don't sleep. Go. I'm not a doctor. Oh,
Bobby, thank you so much, man. We know you're a busy man. You have practice, but I feel like there's still so much more that we could touch on. Maybe we'll have you back on to talk a little more about your recruiting, your actual like. I want to pick your brain on some sets, on some swimming sets as well. Some stuff that you do, and you've always been great with social media. You're always someone that I've always looked up to as far as, being a coach in social media and how to grow a program and how to grow my own personal brand. But thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Good luck at conference. How are we looking NC2A's confidence level? Like, you got a couple people lined up?
We got a couple of people. Yeah, I think we got a couple of people. Got a good
Who's
shot.
that? You guys have that sprinter on the women's side. She's fast, man.
Yes, she's 51.5 fly. She's like 2 weeks ago she was at 52.2. like an okay race. So like he knows the 52.2s. He's kind of like, I didn't execute on that one and that one.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Go on down. I'm glad we're on the same level. And William Carrico, he's got a good shot in a few events. Carrico got a good shot. So far he's been 144. He's been 144 in the IM. He's been 346 in the 400 IM in season. He's been last year he was 351 in the 400 IM in November, and he dropped to 344. So far he's been 346 now so far, and then he's been 143 in the backstroke, and he's been 155 low in the breaststroke. Yeah. So we have some events that we'll look into it. So we'll just see which one is heating up, and we'll kind of go from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good luck at conferences, and thank you again, Bobby.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Okay. Go Seahawks.
Go Seahawks.